My dear friends, life is nothing but a series of decisions. From the moment we wake up in the morning until we go back to bed, we make hundreds of choices. Some are simple: what to eat, what to wear, which route to take. But then there are those few decisions that don't just fill a moment, they shape an entire lifetime. It is not our circumstances that define us, but the choices we make when circumstances test us. One right decision can turn pain into power, failure into learning, and obstacles into opportunities. And one decision, taken in haste or without reflection, can take years to repair. When you look back at your life, you will realize that everything you are today is a result of the decisions you made yesterday. And everything you will be tomorrow, it depends on the decisions you make today. That is why it is not the conditions around you, but the decisions within you that define your destiny. When we look at life closely, we realize that one of the most powerful turning points is the moment we decide to take responsibility. Think about it. How often do we find ourselves blaming others for where we are? We blame our parents for not giving us enough. We blame the government for not creating opportunities. We blame our bosses for not appreciating us. And sometimes we even blame destiny for being unfair. But the truth is, blaming others may give temporary comfort, yet it steals away the power to change our own life. Responsibility is not a burden, it is actually freedom, the freedom to shape our own story. Let's take an example. Imagine two people working in the same company. Both are given the same task, both face the same challenges, and both encounter the same obstacles. One person keeps complaining, the system is broken, my manager is biased, I cannot succeed here. The other person says, yes, the system may not be perfect, but what can I do to improve myself? What new skills can I learn? How can I make myself so valuable that I rise regardless of the system? Over the years, one remains stuck where he is, and the other grows to become a leader. What made the difference? Not talent, not resources, not luck, but one simple decision. The decision to take responsibility. Life becomes empowering the day you stop saying, I can't because of them, and start saying, I will because of me. When we blame, we hand over the pen of our life story to someone else. But when we take responsibility, we take the pen back into our own hands. Every great leader, every successful entrepreneur, every individual who has created an impact has at some point taken this bold decision. They stopped pointing fingers outward and began looking inward. Even in our personal relationships, this principle holds true. Think about how many arguments go unresolved because both sides are waiting for the other to apologize. Oh, why should I say, sorry first? It was their fault. Days turn into weeks, weeks into months, and relationships grow colder. Not because of the issue itself, but because no one decided to take responsibility. But imagine if even one person had said, let me take the first step, let me be the bigger person. That single decision could have saved love, trust, and connection. Taking responsibility doesn't mean everything is your fault. It means even if it's not your fault, it's still your responsibility to choose your response. You may not have chosen the problem, but you can choose the way you deal with it. That choice determines whether the problem crushes you or cultivates you. In fact, some of the most inspiring stories in history are of people who refuse to play the victim card. They could have said, life was unfair to me. I had no chance. But instead they said, this is my situation, but I am responsible for what I make of it. That's why people born in poverty have risen to greatness. Those who failed in school have built empires, and those who were rejected have turned into icons. Their circumstances didn't change overnight, but their decision to take responsibility changed everything. So whenever you feel helpless, whenever you feel stuck, ask yourself one question. What can I do about it? That single question takes you from weakness to strength, from excuses to execution, from waiting to acting. The moment you decide to take responsibility, unlock the door to transformation. Because in the end, life is not about what happens to you, but about how you respond. And that response is always your responsibility. There are moments in life when everything around us seems dark, when things don't go our way, when failures and setbacks make us question if it is even worth trying again. In such times, we all have two choices: to drown in negativity or to rise with positivity. Negativity is easy because it comes naturally when things fall apart. But positivity is a decision. A conscious choice to look at the same reality from a different lens. It does not mean denying problems. It means deciding to see the possibility beyond the problem. Think of two people walking in the rain. One is grumbling, "Oh no, I'm wet, my clothes are ruined, this is terrible." The other looks up, stretches out his arms and says, "What a refreshing feeling, how beautiful the smell of earth is after the rain." Both are in the same situation, but one chose to complain while the other chose to celebrate. The rain didn't change, but the attitude did. And that attitude is what defines the experience. Life is very much like that. Challenges will come whether you like it or not. But the way you look at them makes all the difference. Some people see every obstacle as the end of their journey, while others see it as a stepping stone to grow. For one, it becomes a reason to stop. For the other, it becomes a reason to push harder, June. It becomes a reason to push harder. When thought, and this difference arises not from the circumstances, but from the decision to be positive. When you choose positivity, you don't magically erase your struggles, but you give yourself the strength to face them. A negative mind sees problems in every opportunity, while a positive mind sees opportunities in every problem. For example, when companies face financial crises, some leaders panic and give up, but others say, this is the time to innovate, to reimagine, to build something new. And history has shown us that some of the greatest businesses were born out of crisis simply because someone decided to see possibility where others only saw disaster. Even in our personal lives, the same principle works. If you wake up in the morning and the first thought is, today is going to be tough, I'm already tired, I hate this routine, you carry that negativity throughout the day. But if you wake up and say, oh, today I get one more chance to live, to grow, to do something meaningful, suddenly the same day feels lighter, even if the tasks are the same. Positivity does not change the day itself, but it changes you. And when you change, your experience of the day changes. Now, many people think positivity means ignoring reality. That's not true. Positivity is not closing your eyes to the storm. It's opening your heart to the sunshine that follows the storm. It's the ability to say, yes, things are difficult right now, but this too shall pass. I am not defined by this moment. I am defined by how I rise beyond it. That kind of thinking fuels resilience, and resilience is what keeps us moving forward when others stop. One of the most remarkable things about positivity is how contagious it is. How contagious it is. Spend a few minutes with someone who radiates positivity, and you'll feel lighter, more hopeful, more energized. On the other hand, even 10 minutes with someone deeply negative can drain your spirit. That is why choosing positivity is not just for yourself. It uplifts everyone around you. Everyone around you. Families, teams, communities all thrive when individuals choose to look at life with optimism and hope. But the truth is, life is too short to be wasted in constant complaints and bitterness. Problems are unavoidable, but suffering is optional. So, by deciding to see the good even in difficult times, by finding lessons even in failures, and by holding hope even in uncertainty, you empower yourself to keep moving. And this one decision, to choose positivity over negativity, becomes the difference between living a life of constant frustration and living a life filled with meaning, growth, and joy. Life is a journey of continuous growth, and one of the most important decisions you can ever make is to keep learning. The moment you stop learning, you stop growing, and when growth stops, life becomes stagnant. Many people think learning ends after school or university. But the truth is, real learning begins after formal education. Classrooms may close, but life remains the greatest teacher. And those who choose to keep learning every single day find themselves evolving into better, wiser, and stronger versions of themselves. Think about a child for a moment. Children are naturally curious. They ask endless questions, they explore everything, they fall and rise again. And in that process, they learn constantly. That curiosity is what allows them to grow so quickly in the first few years of life. But as we grow older, somewhere along the way, we lose that curiosity. We begin to think we already know enough. That is where the danger lies. Because the world is always changing, and unless we keep learning, we will be left behind. There's a saying that yesterday's knowledge cannot solve tomorrow's problems. The challenges of life evolve, keeps advancing. Technology keeps moving forward, and new opportunities keep emerging. The only way to stay relevant, strong, and adaptable is by being a lifelong learner. The most successful people in the world are not those who know everything, but those who are always willing to learn something new. Take a simple example of technology. Many people complain that the world has changed so fast. New tools, new platforms, new ways of doing business. Some resist and say, I cannot adapt to this. I'm too old for it. This is too complicated. Others say, let me try, let me learn, let me upgrade myself. And the difference in their future is massive. The ones who decided to keep learning found new opportunities, while those who refused were left struggling. It is not age that limits us. It is the decision to stop learning. Learning is not limited to courses. It is also about experiences. Every failure is a lesson. Every mistake is a teacher. And every challenge is an opportunity to grow wiser. The difference lies in how you look at it. Some people fail and give up, while others fail and say, what can I learn from this? That mindset turns setbacks into stepping stones. The decision to keep learning means that you never truly lose. Either you win or you learn, and both lead to growth. Even in relationships, learning plays a vital role. To maintain healthy connections, we must keep learning about the people we care for, their needs, their feelings, their changes over time. When we stop learning about our loved ones, we assume we already know them, and that assumption creates distance. But when we keep learning, when we stay curious about their world, relationships remain fresh and alive. One of the most beautiful aspects of continuous learning is humility. When you choose to keep learning, you admit to yourself that you don't know it all, that there is always more to understand. That humility keeps you grounded, and grounded people rise higher because they are always open to growth. So whether it is reading books, listening to wise mentors, reflecting on your own experiences, or simply observing life, the decision to keep learning keeps your mind young, your heart open, and your life moving forward. Knowledge has no finish line, wisdom has no limit, and growth has no age. The day you decide to stop learning is the day you start declining. But the day you commit to learning continuously is the day you guarantee yourself a lifetime of progress, strength, and meaning. One of the hardest yet most liberate decisions we can make in life is the decision to forgive. Every one of us has been hurt at some point by words, by actions, by betrayal, or by neglect. The natural response is to hold on to that pain, to replay it in our minds, to carry the burden of resentment like a heavy stone. We think holding on somehow protects us or punishes the other person, but in reality, it only punishes us. Anger and bitterness do not poison the person who hurt us. They poison our own heart. Forgiveness, therefore, is not about them. It is about freeing ourselves. Imagine carrying a backpack filled with rocks everywhere you go. At first, you may feel strong enough to handle it, but as days turn into weeks, the weight becomes unbearable. That is exactly what unforgiveness feels like. Every grudge, every resentment adds another rock to the bag, and over time, it exhausts us. But the moment you forgive, it's like dropping the bag. You feel lighter, freer, and more alive. Forgiveness does not change the past, but it changes the weight of the past on your present. Some people believe forgiving means accepting what happened or allowing someone to hurt us again. That's not true. Forgiveness is not about saying the hurt was okay. It is about saying, I refuse to let this hurt control me any longer. You may still set boundaries. You may still distance yourself, but you choose to let go of the bitterness. In that choice, you reclaim your peace of mind. History is full of powerful examples of forgiveness. Some of the greatest leaders were people who suffered injustice, discrimination, or even imprisonment, yet they chose to forgive rather than seek revenge. Why? Because they understood that hate only multiplies hate, but forgiveness opens the door for healing and growth. They proved that forgiveness is not weakness. It is the ultimate strength. Anyone can hold a grudge, but it takes real courage to let it go. Even in our personal lives, forgiveness plays a transformative role. How many families are broken because someone refused to forgive? How many friendships ended because ego stood taller than love? When you look back, you'll realize that sometimes a relationship that took years to build collapsed over one incident that could have been healed through forgiveness. One word, I forgive, can restore peace, rebuild trust, and bring hearts back together. And forgiveness is not just for others, it is also for ourselves. Many people carry guilt from their past mistakes, punishing themselves for what they did or failed to do. But constantly blaming yourself doesn't allow growth. Self-forgiveness is equally important because until you forgive, you cannot fully move forward. You must remind yourself that mistakes are not life sentences, they are lessons. They are lessons. Forgiving yourself is not forgetting, it is learning and then choosing to begin again. Forgiveness is like unlocking a door that has kept you trapped inside bitterness. Once you unlock it, you walk into freedom. The decision to forgive does not mean the memory disappears, but it means the memory no longer controls your emotions. You stop being a prisoner of the past and become a creator of your future. It gives you clarity, peace, and above all, strength to live fully in the present without being chained to yesterday's pain. Discipline is often seen as a restriction, something that takes away freedom or makes life rigid. But in reality, discipline is the very foundation of freedom. The decision to discipline yourself is one of the most powerful choices you can ever make because it creates structure, consistency, and momentum in life. While motivation can get you started, it is discipline that keeps you going when motivation fades. Everyone feels inspired at the beginning of a journey, but only those who stay disciplined reach the destination. Think about the greatest athletes, musicians, or leaders in history. Were they simply talented? No. Talent gave them a starting point, but discipline allowed them to refine that talent into greatness. A musician does not master an instrument by playing only when he feels like it. He does it by practicing daily, even when it feels repetitive. An athlete does not win medals by training only on the good days. He does it by sticking to the routine even when the body aches. Discipline turns ordinary efforts into extraordinary results. The beauty of discipline is that it compounds. Small, consistent actions performed daily build massive outcomes over time. Waking up a little earlier, saving a small amount every day, reading a few pages consistently, exercising regularly. These may look insignificant in the moment, but over months and years, they transform your life. Discipline is like planting seeds every day. You may not see the result immediately, but eventually the garden flourishes. On the other hand, lack of discipline leads to regret. Many people know what they should do, but they keep postponing it. I'll start tomorrow, I'll try later, I'll get serious next week. And slowly, days become months and months become years. By the time they look back, they realize they wasted precious time and opportunities. Regret is the price of laziness, but reward is the fruit of discipline. Discipline is also about mastering yourself. It is not about being controlled by others, but about controlling your own impulses. Anyone can give in to distractions, temptations, or excuses, but it takes inner strength to say no to what pulls you away from your goals and yes to what moves you closer to them. Discipline means choosing long-term growth over short-term pleasure. It's about doing what is right, not just what feels easy in the moment. Even in relationships, discipline matters. A strong marriage or friendship doesn't survive only on love. It survives on the discipline of commitment, effort, and presence. Taking time to listen, making space for loved ones, being consistent in showing care, all of this requires discipline. Without it, love fades into neglect. Some people think discipline kills joy, but in truth, discipline protects joy. When you discipline your health, you enjoy vitality. When you discipline your finances, you enjoy stability. When you discipline your time, you enjoy productivity. Discipline is not about losing freedom. It is about creating the kind of life where freedom becomes sustainable. The greatest achievers are not necessarily the smartest or the luckiest, but they are the ones who built systems and stayed consistent. They made a decision once to live with discipline, and that decision shaped their habits, their character, and ultimately their destiny. If you want to know what your future looks like, look at your daily disciplines, because they silently write the story of your tomorrow. There is one resource every human being receives in equal measure: time. No matter who you are, where you are born, or what your background is, each day gives you 24 hours. The difference between people who live ordinary lives and those who create extraordinary impact is not in how much time they have, but in how they value it. When you truly understand the worth of time, you stop wasting it, you stop taking it for granted, and you start treating every moment as an opportunity. The decision to value time is, in many ways, the decision to value life itself. Think of money for a moment. If you lose some money, you can earn it back. If you lose a job, you can find another. But once time slips away, there is no way to recover it. Every second gone is gone forever. And yet, paradoxically, people guard their money fiercely but spend their time carelessly. They say yes to endless distractions, unnecessary conversations, and meaningless scrolling while the clock quietly keeps ticking. Years pass and suddenly they wonder where their life went. The truth is, life didn't disappear. It was spent in the small unnoticed leaks of wasted time. Imagine your day as a bank account. Each morning, life deposits 86,400 seconds into it, and by nightfall, whatever you did not use wisely is lost forever. There are no carryovers, no refunds, no savings for tomorrow. You either invested in something meaningful or you watch it vanish unused. When you start seeing time as a currency, you become more mindful about how you spend it. You begin to ask, is this worth an hour of my life? Is this worth my focus, my energy, and my presence? That awareness alone can transform your choices. People often say they don't have time, but the reality is they don't prioritize time. The busiest leaders in the world run nations and businesses, yet they make time for their families, their health, their growth. Meanwhile, others claim to be too busy for the simplest responsibilities. It is not a lack of time, it is a lack of clarity on what truly matters. When you value time, you set priorities. And when you set priorities, your life aligns with purpose. One of the greatest gifts of valuing time is that it teaches you to live in the present. When you realize how precious each moment is, you stop dwelling endlessly on the past and worrying excessively about the future. You begin to appreciate now this conversation, this smile, this opportunity. Valuing time doesn't mean rushing through life. It means cherishing it deeply, making sure your days are filled with what actually matters. Wasting time doesn't always look like idleness. Sometimes it looks like being busy with things that don't matter. Endless gossip, chasing approval, or constantly comparing your life with others, all of this consumes time without giving meaning. On the other hand, learning a skill, nurturing a relationship, serving someone in need, or working toward your dream, these are investments of time that yield returns for a lifetime. The people who value time become unstoppable. They don't wait endlessly for the right moment because they know the right moment is now. They don't waste years on regrets because they know the past cannot be changed, but the present can be acted upon. They don't let procrastination steal their future because they understand that tomorrow begins with what they choose today. Every sunrise is a silent reminder that you've been gifted one more day. The question is, will you treat it as ordinary or as sacred? The decision to value time is not about squeezing more tasks into your schedule. It is about ensuring that the hours you live truly count. Because in the end, life is not measured by how many years you live, but by how much meaning you created in the time you were given. The people we choose to surround ourselves with play a greater role in shaping our lives than we often realize. Just as plants thrive or wither depending on the soil they are planted in, we too grow or decline depending on the company we keep. The decision to surround yourself wisely is one of the most powerful choices you can make, because no matter how strong your willpower may be, the environment you live in will eventually influence your thoughts, habits, and direction. It is said that if you walk with 5 confident people, you'll become the 6th. If you walk with 5 complainers, you'll also become the 6th. This isn't philosophy, it's psychology. Human beings are wired to absorb energy, beliefs, and attitudes from those around them. If you spend most of your time with people who constantly complain, criticize, and gossip, your mind too will begin to reflect that negativity. But if you spend time with people who encourage you, challenge you, and uplift you, you will find yourself inspired to grow. Look at successful people in any field, athletes, entrepreneurs, artists, or leaders. You will notice they are very intentional about who they allow into their inner circle. They don't spend endless hours with those who drain them. Instead, they surround themselves with those who fuel their vision. This doesn't mean they cut off every person in their life, but it does mean they are selective about who has influence over their mindset and decisions. Relationships are not neutral. They are either adding value to your life or quietly subtracting from it. A supportive friend who believes in you can give you courage to take a step you've been afraid of. A negative person who mocks your dreams can make you doubt yourself and abandon something meaningful. That's why the decision to surround yourself wisely is not just about friendship. It is about your future. Sometimes people feel guilty about creating distance from toxic company. They think, oh, but we've been friends for years, or I can't just walk away. The truth is, protecting your peace and growth is not selfish, it is necessary. Just as you wouldn't drink poisoned water out of politeness, you shouldn't keep absorbing poisonous attitudes out of obligation. Loving people doesn't mean giving them unlimited access to your energy. You can care for someone from a distance without letting their negativity control your journey. Equally important is choosing to surround yourself with those who are ahead of you in some way. When you spend time with people who know more, who have achieved more, or who live with deeper wisdom, their presence naturally pushes you to rise higher. Iron sharpens iron, and in the same way, greatness sharpens greatness. Being in such company can feel uncomfortable at first, but that discomfort is what stretches you to grow. On the other hand, being the smartest person in every room you enter may feel good to your ego, but it does little for your growth. Surrounding yourself wisely means balancing relationships, being with those who inspire you, those who walk alongside you, and those you can mentor in return. In that way, life becomes a cycle of learning, sharing, and uplifting. The people around you are like mirrors. They reflect your potential back to you. If your circle reflects fear, doubt, and limitation, you'll begin to see yourself that way. But if your circle reflects courage, hope, and determination, you'll see those qualities in yourself too. That is why decision is so vital. It doesn't just affect your present, it silently shapes your future. Your environment will either pull you down to its level or lift you up to its height. Which one happens depends entirely on the company you choose to keep. There comes a stage in life when you realize that true fulfillment doesn't come from how much you take, but from how much you give. The decision to serve others may appear selfless, yet in reality, it is one of the most rewarding choices you can make for yourself. When you live only for yourself, your success feels limited, your happiness feels incomplete, and your achievements feel hollow. But the moment you decide to make a difference in someone else's life, your own life takes on a deeper meaning. Think about the moments that stay with you the longest. Often it's not the day you bought something new or the day you indulged in personal pleasure. It's the day you helped someone in need, the day you put a smile on another face, the day you made someone's burden lighter. Serving others creates memories that money cannot buy and a sense of satisfaction that achievements alone cannot provide. Service doesn't always have to mean grand gestures. Sometimes it is as simple as listening when someone needs to be heard, sharing knowledge with someone eager to learn, or offering encouragement when someone feels lost. These small acts of service may look ordinary, but to the person receiving them, they can mean the world. You may forget the act, but they will remember it for a lifetime. When you decide to serve others, something shifts inside you. You stop seeing people as competitors or strangers and begin seeing them as fellow travelers on this journey of life. You start realizing that your strength is not just for your benefit, your wisdom is not just for your progress, and your resources are not just for your comfort. They are tools that can uplift others, and in uplifting them, you rise too. History shows us that those remembered the longest are not always those who amassed the greatest wealth, but those who gave the greatest service. Leaders, teachers, reformers, and visionaries who lived beyond their own needs left legacies that still inspire us. Their lives remind us that when you serve, your influence multiplies beyond your lifetime. Serving others also changes your perspective. Many times we get consumed by our own problems and think our challenges are unbearable. But when you step out to serve, you realize there are people carrying burdens far heavier than yours. Instead of drowning in self-pity, service teaches you gratitude. Instead of focusing on what you lack, it shows you how much you have to offer. That shift in perspective brings peace and strength even to your own struggles. Another beauty of service is that it creates connection. In a world where many feel isolated, disconnected, and unseen, service builds bridges. Bridges. When you extend your hand to help, you not only ease someone's difficulty, but also remind them they are not alone. And sometimes that reminder is more powerful than the service itself. Serving others is not about having abundance. It is about having willingness. You don't need to be rich to give. You just need to be kind. You don't need to have everything figured out to inspire. You just need to care. Every person, no matter where they are in life, has something to offer, be it time, knowledge, a skill, or even just a compassionate heart. In the end, the decision to serve others transforms not just the lives of those you touch, but your own as well. You find joy in giving strength and lifting others, and meaning in knowing that your existence has made the world a little better than you found it. That decision turns success into significance, and it is significance that leaves behind a true legacy. Patience is one of the most underestimated strengths in life. In a world that celebrates speed, instant results, and overnight success, patience often looks like weakness. Yet, if you look closely, some of the greatest achievements, the strongest relationships, and the deepest transformations in history have all been built on the foundation of patience. The decision to stay patient is not about doing nothing. It is about trusting the process, waiting with faith, and continuing to act with consistency even when results are not immediate. Think of a farmer who plants seeds in the soil. He waters them, nurtures them, and protects them from harm. But he does not rush outside the next morning demanding to see a harvest. He knows nature has its own timing. The seed must sprout, the roots must grow, the plant must strengthen before it bears fruit. If he grows impatient and digs up the seed to check its progress, he destroys the very thing he is trying to grow. Life works the same way. Some dreams, some goals, and some changes simply need time. Patience is the silent force that allows growth to happen. Many people give up too soon because they confuse delay with denial. Just because your dream hasn't come true yet doesn't mean it never will. The problem is impatience makes us want to quit halfway. Imagine how many books were never written, how many inventions were never completed, how many ideas died, not because they weren't good, but because the person lacked patience to see them through. Success doesn't always go to the fastest starter. It goes to the one who stays long enough to finish the race. Patience is not only about external achievements, it also plays a huge role in personal relationships. Friendships, marriages, and families all require patience. People are not perfect. They make mistakes, they change, they grow at their own pace. Without patience, small misunderstandings turn into big conflicts, and temporary flaws turn into permanent judgments. With patience, you give people space to evolve. You allow love to deepen, and you let trust build slowly over time. There's also patience with yourself. Many people are harsh on themselves because they don't see progress as quickly as they want. They expect instant transformation and get discouraged when they stumble. But growth is not a straight line. It is a journey of steps forward, setbacks, and learning. Being patient with yourself means giving yourself grace, allowing yourself to improve gradually, and not demanding perfection overnight. One of the most powerful truths about patience is that it teaches you faith. To be patient is to believe that even though you cannot see the outcome yet, something meaningful is happening behind the scenes. It's trusting that every effort, every sacrifice, every disciplined action is adding up, even if you don't see visible results immediately. Patience trains your character, strengthens your resolve, and prepares you to handle success when it finally arrives. Impatience, on the other hand, often leads to regret. It pushes people to make hasty decisions, chase shortcuts, or compromise their values for quick gains. And more often than not, those shortcuts cost more time in the long run. True wisdom lies in recognizing that what is valuable often takes time. Diamonds are not formed in minutes, and strong trees do not grow overnight. Anything worth having is worth waiting for. The decision to stay patient is therefore a decision to trust life's timing. It doesn't mean you stop working. It means you keep working without giving up hope when results take longer. It means choosing perseverance over frustration, faith over fear, and calmness over chaos. And those who embrace patience discover that when the time is right, what they had been waiting for was worth every moment of endurance. Life at some point will test every single one of us. No matter how carefully we plan, how hard we work, or how much we prepare, there will be setbacks, failures, and disappointments. Some dreams will take longer than expected. Some doors will close unexpectedly, and sometimes the people we count on will walk away. In those moments, the easiest choice is to quit. But the most powerful choice, the one that defines your character and your destiny, is the decision to never give up. When you study the stories of people who achieved greatness, one common thread you'll notice is persistence. They were not the ones who had the smoothest journeys or the luckiest breaks. They were the ones who refused to stop when everything told them to. Thomas Edison, after thousands of failed attempts to create a working light bulb, could have easily quit. Instead, he chose to say, I have not failed. I've just found thousands of ways that won't work. That attitude turned him into an inventor who changed the world. The decision to keep going, even after repeated failures, is what separates dreamers from achievers. Quitting is tempting because it feels like relief. It offers a way out of struggle, a chance to escape the weight of disappointment. But what quitting also guarantees is that you will never see the fruit of your efforts. Many people don't realize how close they are to success when they stop trying. It could be the very next attempt, the next conversation, or the next opportunity that turns everything around. Those who hold on discover breakthroughs. Those who give up lie with the regret of wondering, what if I had tried just one more time? Not giving up doesn't mean the journey is easy. It doesn't mean you won't feel exhausted, discouraged, or even hopeless at times. It means that in spite of those feelings, you choose to take one more step. You choose to rise after every fall. You choose to keep your eyes on the vision instead of the obstacles. That resilience builds strength, and that strength builds character. Over time, the various struggles that tempted you to quit become the reasons you grow strong enough to succeed. This decision is not only about career or personal goals, it applies to every aspect of life. In relationships, not giving up means choosing to work through difficulties rather than walking away at the first sign of trouble. In health, it means showing up consistently for your body, even when progress is slow. In personal growth, it means being willing to fall, learn, and rise again without labeling yourself as a failure. One of the most inspiring truths is that failure is never final unless you quit. Every setback can be turned into a comeback if you choose persistence. Life may knock you down 100 times, but it cannot defeat you if you keep standing up the 101st time. The world respects resilience because it reflects an indomitable spirit, a spirit that refuses to be broken. When you decide to never give up, you are not just making a choice for today. You are shaping the story of your life. You are saying that your dreams matter, your purpose matters, and your efforts will not go in vain. You may not control how hard the challenges come, but you always control how determined you remain. And that determination is what eventually turns impossible into possible.